we're going to be doing a sea turtle. You can see we're going to be using pencil.
I need to grab a pencil and a marker first before I start.
Go ahead, go get it.
Okay.
And you're going to use ink pen for the black parts. And like always, we're going to start with pencil to outline our turtle, and then we'll move on to the interior. I'm getting some background noise, so I'm just going to go ahead and mute everybody. But if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourselves.
Can you mute me too?
Yes, there we go. I'm sure there's a button to do everyone at once, but I don't know about it. So let's start with this turtle. Pretend there's no head, no flippers, no tail, no anything else. Let's take a look at this shell shape first. It's a little bit like an egg, a little round.
Look what I have. I have a jiggly pencil.
That's great, Fusi, but can you share later when I'm not doing my lesson?
Oh, yeah.
It's a pretty cool pencil, though, I gotta say that. So we're gonna do it rounder on one side and a little bit narrower on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and start sketching. You can see I hold my pencil very far away so I can see what I'm doing and draw lightly. And I'm going to make one side, whoops, let me darken my camera so you can see that better. I'm gonna make one side round, one side kind of pointed. You can see I'm making lots and lots of marks because I can't get it right the very first time. So I have to try and try and try again, and then I'll bring in my eraser and get rid of the ones I don't like as much. Remember, you're going for that sideways egg. A little bit pointier on the left, a little rounder on the right. Sketching lightly because we know we're going to erase this later anyway. And it'll be a whole lot easier if it's nice and light. Then next, we're going to add the head. And the head's a little bit of a complex shape, so let's break it down and take it one step at a time. Let's take a look at the neck, having a short line on top and a little bit longer line on the bottom. Not going straight side to side, but a little bit of a diagonal. So I've got a short one on top, longer one on the bottom. I'm going to make it nice and thick. And then we're going to do the opposite. We're going in an upward diagonal, and we've got a shorter one on the bottom and a little bit longer one on the top. So I've got a little bit shorter one on the bottom, a little bit longer one on the top. And then from that line, we're going to slope down and curve right in the front. Keeping it rather short. Oh, there's Mickey. Let's let her in. And then we'll connect it right back up for our turtle head. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you can see that a little easier.
I'm eating apple.
Yum, yum. Next, we're going to draw this flipper on the bottom. As we can see, it's nice and smooth on one side and then bumpy on the other side. So let's start with
Betsy.
that smooth side. Hey, Mickey.
Oh, hi, Betsy. Guess what?
Hmm.
I got my braces off.
Oh, nice. Does
Yeah,
it feel funny now that they're finally off?
That's fun.
So we're going to start with that big smooth line in the front. And then for the back, these bumps aren't all the same size, are they? We've got a really big one in the middle and then two littler ones on the sides. So let's just start with a little curve, then put in a big curve and another little curve. I got my first dose of vaccine. Yay! Didn't even hurt that much. And then we've got this other flipper that is not the same size, not the same shape. Some of you have taken my classes for a long time, know why? Because size, foreshortening, perspective, all those good things. So let's just take a look at this shape. It has 1, 2, 3 direction changes, 3 lines. So we're not just going to make one big curve like a shark fin. We're going to take it one step at a time and take a look at how close it is to the turtle's neck. Very, very close. Short one. Longer one. Kind of a medium one. And it stays pretty close to the shell. You can tell over here where this section right here is pretty close. And we're going to do those little bumps again. A little bump there, just 2 this time. We won't be able to see the third one. It's being covered up by the shell. And then let's work on those back flippers. Also different shapes. The one on the close side is going to have 2 lines, a shorter one on this side and then a longer one on that side. So a little bit like a check mark. Just curved a little bit more.
It's already coming out very good.
Thank you. Then we'll curve for this line right here on the end of the flipper. And curve it right back into the shell. Then this last flipper, this one's probably the easiest. We're just going to make one curved line on this side.
Look at my screen first.
I saw you did a little laugh out loud symbol.
A little heart. I like
And now a little heart. Cute. just like these two flippers, we've got one that's big and close, one that's farther away and smaller, one that's big and close, one that's farther away and smaller. And if you want to, not all turtles show their tails, but if you want to add a tiny little tail, tiny little bump, you can do that on the back end there. Then I'm going to erase the parts of the shell that separate off the flippers, the head, the back flippers, the tail, just so I'm left with my outline that I'm going to be inking pretty soon. But I'm going to pause here for about a minute so that you can change anything that might not be looking quite right. And if you're having trouble, you can always ask me to take a look, hold up your drawing, and I'll see where the problem might be. But if you take a look at your head and go, oh, I think my head's too small, now's the time to change it. Maybe your flippers are too much the same size, now's the time to change it. I see in the chat, Natalie's asking, who is Wendy? Well, why don't you introduce yourself, Natalie, and then you can find out who Wendy is. There's Wendy. Hi, Wendy.
Hello, Wendy.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Wendy.
I know her. She's my friend also. Me
You're
too.
so
We're glad she's here.
Yeah.
Italy.
Long ago, when there's no COVID, my mom and I sometimes go to her house.
Oh, you guys used to play together? I remember those days, seeing friends. Just about 30 more seconds to change your turtle before we start inking.
Oh, hey, Betsy, my internet is really bad right now. I can barely understand most of you guys, and I might cut out.
Got it. Well, if you get dropped, I will let you back in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so I'm going to start inking. I've got just a regular felt tip pen. You can use a skinny Sharpie or a thin marker, whatever you happen to have around the house. Notice that as I ink, I'm not going to try to do the whole thing in one go. I'm going to turn my paper where it's comfortable and just do one line at a time. One line at a time. Pick up my pen. Change it to where it's comfortable. Pick up my pen. Oh, Tracy says that all the videos on JLI work now. Excellent. Sally went in and made sure that they were kid friendly. I guess YouTube will block it from school computers if it doesn't have a kid approved tag on it. Now we know. Sorry if anybody's getting dizzy with me changing my paper around so much. But you want to get used to picking up your pen, change it to where it's comfortable for you to do the next line. If it's uncomfortable for you to do, your line will probably end up being really shaky, or it'll go off the pencil line. So I like to keep turning my paper, make sure it's easy for me to ink that next line. You don't have to go as fast as I am. I just like to show you what it looks like when it's all inked so that you have something to refer to. Let's have a little drawing music while we're making our sea turtle. Let me know if it's too loud for anybody.
I love turtles. They
Me
look
too.
so cute.
One of my favorite animals. Are you guys ready for the next step? I think we can go to the next step. Almost ready? Well, I'm just going to show you one tiny, tiny little thing. So even if you're still inking, you'll have time to catch up. Right in the corner of the turtle's head, we have a little bit of the bottom of the ocean. So I'm just going to mark off a little piece where I want the bottom of the ocean. And we're going to carefully fill it all in black. And then we're going to make these little coral shapes. Let's zoom in a little closer so we can see what they're like. You can use a thick pen or a thin pen. We're going to draw a little wavy line for this piece of coral. And then add a couple more little branching off. They don't have to look exactly like mine. Just little wiggly letter Ys, or some of them have 3 prongs. They can overlap a little bit if you want to. And we're going to do that again in this forward flipper here. I'll take my pen and I'll decide where I want the bottom of the ocean to be. It doesn't have to be straight. Probably will look a little bit better if it's wiggly. And we'll fill it all in black. This is usually easier if you have a Crayola marker or some marker that has a bigger tip. Just be careful when you get to those edges so you don't go outside the lines. And we've got some seaweed on this part. I'm gonna grab my skinny pen again. And I'll start with the tallest one and make a little wiggly line. And of course, any of these steps, if you want to practice with pencil first and then ink on top of it, that's up to you. I'm going to do another wiggly line. And we're going to do that 4 more times, but we want to make sure that they are all different heights. You can see that this one's shorter than that one's shorter than that one, those 2 are shorter than the other 3. So I want to make sure that all of my blades of seaweed are different heights to make it look interesting. Doesn't look, or doesn't have to look exactly like mine. You can see that I'm not even copying my demonstration piece exactly. We just want the general idea of some nice seaweed waving around at the bottom of the sea. And those will all be colored in black. Although that's the easy part. If you're falling behind and I'm going too fast, just leave these white for now because you can always fill it in black on your own, no problem.
I love art.
You love art? Art is pretty fun. Fun to make, fun to look at. There's even art on some of our clothing. When you buy a t-shirt that has a picture on it, somebody had to draw that art. Even if you're not done with your seaweed, that's okay. We're going to start on this other flipper over here, the back flipper. I'm going to twist my paper a little bit so that it's easier for me to draw the ground or the ocean floor. And I'm going to do the exact same seaweed, except it's so much smaller. So teeny tiny, way in the distance. So far away. Still making sure that each one is a little bit shorter than the last one. And you don't have to keep them separate. You can have one cross right in front. It'll still work. And you just color them in the same as you would if they were all separate. Just like that. And then we've got another plant. This one's a little closer to the ones that we've drawn in like jungle pictures, where we have the one long line in the middle and then little short lines
I'm already
on
done.
the edge. With the whole thing?
No, I'm already done with the plants.
Oh, excellent. You'd never have to wait for me. If you want to just go ahead and try it, go ahead and try it. So I've got a seaweed or kelp or some other sea plant over here. It might bump into the edges of the turtle. That's okay. It might overlap and bump into one another. That's okay. We're just going to make little feather type plants. At the bottom of the sea. I like how this music has ocean waves in it. I did a search
Maka noise.
for Hawaiian background music. Who's ready to make a dolphin? You might want to start with your pencil for this one, just in case. But somewhere in the middle of
I
the
like the
turtle
dolphin.
shell. I know, dolphin's cute, right?
Yeah.
You can use your pen or pencil, and we're just going to start with a curve that goes from the tip of the nose all the way to the end of the tail. A gentle little curve. And then we'll add a little porpoise nose there. A little curve right at the end. And then we'll go up and do a bigger bump and go right back to the end of that tail.
Now it's like something like, it's like a toothpaste.
A little bit like toothpaste. That's very observative. I agree. It does look like a little bit like toothpaste. So let's add a tail. We've got one of the tail fins on that side and one on the other side that's going to be a little bit smaller. Looks a little bit like a boomerang or one of those hearts that's gotten a little bit squished. Then we'll add some fins on the bottom here. One's going to be a little bit bigger because it's closer to us, just like the turtle had one that's a little bit bigger. And then behind this one is going to be the dorsal fin, right on top. And we're going to color that all in. Silhouette style. And dolphins don't swim alone, do they? They swim with their families in pods. So we're going to draw a couple more, but they're getting a little bit cut off by the edges of the turtle. So we'll just have a head on one side and then a tail on the other side. So let's start with the tail on the turtle's tail. And I'm just going to make that little curve for the body going down skinny to the tail. And then add that uneven heart shape for the tail fins, and I'll color it all the way in.
It looks so silly.
So silly? Why is it silly?
Because like a fish which is so dead. A fish which has a cut off head.
Oh, I see what you mean. If it looks like it was chopped in
It
half.
looks like a mermaid saved by the turtle tail.
Whoa, could be a mermaid swimming by. And then we'll draw the head on the other side. We'll start with that curve again, right to the edge of the turtle. A narrow little curve for the nose. Little bump for the head. And one of those lateral fins on the bottom. And we'll color that all in. Next, we're going to draw those jellyfish. If you want them to look like they're far away, you can do it in pencil, or you can do it in your pen and make them solid black. That's up to you. Oops, my pen's a little smeary. Careful when you erase. You don't want your pen to smear like mine did. I'm going to grab my pencil, and for each of these little jellyfish, we're going to draw a little half circle. The cap at the top. Color that in.
It's like a stone or a jelly.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a rock that we draw on the grass if we were doing a on land picture. And jellyfish have all those tentacles coming down, weaving around in the ocean. Maybe one has swum right up off the page and we can only see the tentacles coming down.
Okay. Wait, Lana, the little tiniest tail, the jellyfish kind of little tentacles are like it's like hair on the top.
A little bit, yeah. It looks a little bit like hair, a little bit like noodles,
Yummy.
a little bit like seaweed that's upside down. And you can make some bigger or smaller. I like to make the middle tentacles the longest, and then they get shorter on the sides, just like the seaweed. And while you have your pencil in your hand, we can also do this second layer of ocean floor. So I'll start coloring in a little bit more of my turtle. I'm going to go right over the ink. Just coloring in this second layer. Connects right to the head. Oops, got to get on camera, don't I? And you can color right over your coral. Doesn't matter since the ink is blacker than the pencil. And we'll add a few more coral, the exact same ones that we've already done. This one's the wavy, like Y-shaped ones. You can put in the feathery ones. More seaweed, that's up to you what your ocean floor looks like. I'll just pause here for a minute while you decorate your ocean floor. Next, we're going to do the angelfish near the back side of the turtle here. And to do those fish, we're going to start with check marks, sideways check marks, where it's long on one side, shorter on the other. I'll just put a few of them down here. Then we'll fill them in a little bit. We'll give them a little bit of a triangle on the back. It goes down to their tails. And then we'll put another little angle for their tails. This gets pretty tiny, so just do your best with the pen that you've got. In general, groups of fish look nice if there's an odd number. So you can choose to do 3 or 5 or 7. That's up to you how much you love angelfish. I'm going to stop at 5. And then we have a whole bunch of fish all swimming up into that other flipper. So let's see the steps on how to make these fish, although you might be able to figure it out. It's the same as we've been doing. We'll do the body shape first. These ones have a little bit of a kite shape where it's shorter on one side and longer on the other side. One side has a tiny little fin on the bottom. And then we have 2 dorsal fins. One's a little bit bigger and one's a little bit smaller. Lastly, a tail. And it's up to you how many fish you want to draw. If you only want to draw 1, you're done. If you want to draw a whole school of them migrating with the currents, that's up to you. It's the same steps. We just make that kite shape. And that kite shape is going to get smaller and smaller as it goes up to make these fish look like they're getting farther and farther away. And then on each and every one, that little fin on the bottom. If your fish is flipped around to the other side, you can flip the fin around to the other side. Two dorsal fins on the other side. So there's one, there's two, one and two, one and two. They're getting tiny. And last, tails.
Wait, why are you typing? I mean, why were you typing, Miss Betsy?
Because Tracy asked me if when we're done, can she take a picture? And then I said yes, but my thing was accidentally on Natalie's direct message. So I had to tell her sister. I think it's because Tracy doesn't have her name listed. So I got confused. I'd really appreciate it if everybody would have the name on their Zoom. It's very confusing and difficult to tell who is typing to me if there's no name.
Yeah, that's not making you dizzy. No. It's making you what?
So we have about 5 minutes left.
Yummy.
You can fill in as many fish as you like. Even if you're not done, we're going to share at the end and just see how far we got. This lesson is being recorded and the video will be posted in a few days. So if you haven't finished and you need instructions, just go to our website and it'll be on the video tab. We're going to continue this ocean theme next week with a whale. Don't worry if you're running into your seaweed or to your other sea plants, you can draw right over the top of it. If you'd like to add a few bubbles, you can draw a few little circles. Don't forget to sign your work. I like to put the date on mine because I usually find it a long time later and go, when did I draw this? And if you don't want it on the picture side, you can also just flip it over and date it on the back too. Sometimes I do that. Alrighty, time to share. I'm going to take off the spotlight of my camera, and whenever you're ready, go ahead and hold it up to your camera so I can spotlight for everyone. And this is where everybody scrambles to draw a few more things. Oh, looks like Fusi's ready. Let's spotlight for everybody. Ooh, look at that. You put a crown on your turtle, it looks like. So cute.
I also wrote the date.
You also wrote the date. Is it 2020?
I mean, no, I got it.
I was going to say, I don't want to repeat 2020. Easily fixed though. Yeah, easily fixed. Who's next? Looks like Callisto's ready. Let's spotlight for everyone. Ooh, look at those angelfish. That came out lovely. I like your seaweed too. It's nice and wiggly. Ooh, there's another one. Got some just a few more fish to do.
A lot more.
A lot more fish. Yeah. This is the kind of art that's not very complicated, but it does take some patience. You can do it over and over and over. Looks like Kristen's ready.
Kristen is ready.
All right. Woo!
Wow. That looks beautiful. I like it. I like the jellyfish. That looks
Thank you. It'll be better
like
when
jelly.
it's done.
Just a few
Not
more
done
to
yet.
fill in. Anybody else want to share? Natalie, Tracy.
Natalie.
Natalie said done in the chat.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, excellent.
look at all those fish.
Excellent. Whoa,
Very
wait.
cool.
You
I
did a
like it.
lot
I
of
like
fish, Natalie.
Ooh.
And here's Tracy.
Wait.
Oh, yeah.
Is
Tracy,
it
it's
flipped
upside
over?
down.
It's upside down though. Maybe
Upside
flip it around.
down.
Upside down. Turtle upside down.
Swimming that way.
But the floor's on the ceiling.
over.
The
Look
bubbles
it
are going
over.
down.
Yeah, upside down.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Now that's better. I like the jellyfish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, oh, the dolphin looks good.
the dolphin's really
Dolphin
good.
looks cute.
Excellent. Anyone else want to share before we say goodbye?
How about Wendy? Do you have something you did, Wendy?
哎呀，睇下佢字個神畫，哎呀，要係嘛？
他的名字叫谁呀 ？Calista。
Nope, not this time. What about you, Mickey?
No, sorry.
No problem. That's where we'll call it then. I'm going to switch my camera back in case anybody wants to take a picture for reference to finish up a little more.
I'll see you back and secret world of kids.
And I'll see you all next week when we do a whale.